Okay. So I don't think... All right. Let's get some things out of the way first. Personally, I have done many false starts to try to present myself and what I'm up to here in a way that was accessible to anybody unfortunate enough to have to listen to this diatribe of nonsense. But if there's anything in what I learned from all those false starts, it's that I say what I'll call conversational utterances and injectionable pauses all the time. Particularly so, don't get me wrong, that's one. The way I look at it, point is, I found myself full of cliches as I listened to some of what I had recorded to try to capture how to next deliver something that would sequentially have value. Because even this far into things, if you haven't seen that my mind goes scattered, it certainly will reveal itself shortly enough. So the only thing I think that I can do to coherently bring something that is unvarnished and real is to use a daily recording of what my thoughts are in the capacity that I'm both experiencing change in my real life, what's happening day to day with me, versus how all these things evolved over the course of my entire life, and what's evolving in my attempt to behave as who I really am, not as the person I feel I was trained to be. So, a couple things, nuts and bolts about what's going on. I'm a white male American. And to me, what this means is that I've had basically every possible privilege the world currently is offering in terms of achieving a status of recognition within the world that is being offered. So, I've had the opportunity to become anything, frankly, that I wanted to be. Whether that be a senator, a scientist, or a senior high school teacher. The paths were open for me to ascend the ladder of respectability in whatever vertical looked enticing enough to climb. And so I'm well aware, and have been well aware my whole life, of not just the inherent advantages of my favored genetic and geographical placement, but the systemic advantages it offered. And I had a very unique experience that offered. I had a very unique experience. And in that journey came to have some values that I thought were American values that I'm not so sure aren't, but that I'm not seeing having the same glorious heyday I thought they were going to be having at this point in my life. Instead, they seem to have disappeared. And so, in some ways, I'm sure that they've disappeared because I've ignored them and thought they had been here to be celebrated, enjoyed, whatever, taken advantage of by those of us who had stumbled into the right circumstance, rather than cultivated, nurtured, sustained, appreciated, and therefore granted to those of us who hadn't necessarily earned them. What do I mean? I mean I am a champion at walking in when the applause is already happening as the standing ovation is occurring and taking credit for the whole act. Or at least it seems like I am. And so therefore, God, I hate saying so much. It means much to me now that I live as the person life gave me the opportunity to become as completely as I can. And I don't expect perfection. Holy crap. I don't even expect C+ work. But I do expect to pass the class. And I'm not going to accept anything less. And I don't think that one thing I have been susceptible to in life is wanting to meet others' expectations. If not meet them, exceed them. I mean, I'm a sicko when it comes to what I will do to try to people please. And it's out of cowardice when you get right down to it. It's out of fear of letting somebody, some force in the universe down. When all it does is create this sort of downward tug of false illusionment. And I use illusionment meaning as I fail to stand up as who I truly am, as I send any slight variance on that out there knowingly, what I've done is I've left something in the universe that's not real. Because when push comes to shove, I can't back it up. And for me, most of the time that I did that, it was out of fear. Fear of being judged as not up to the task. Or fear of being just not worthy. Doubtful. Filled with self-loathing at some point that just built on these moments of doubt where, if I'm being honest, I failed. In the moment I choked. Or I made poor decisions. And I used to just sit like a trapped animal in one of those jaws of death, metal traps that we as human beings have designed to snare our prey, and think about chewing my leg off and deciding, you know what's worse? Here I sit with this dilemma. Do I chew my leg off? Or do I become dinner? You know, if those are your choices, it's pretty easy to not give a fuck. You know, what are you going to do? And yet, we're the ones setting the damn traps. And I'm not saying that you're not accountable to everything you've done. You are. But you're also framing yourself in a position of ultimate disappointment. And that you don't deserve at all. In fact, that is self-imposed to a great degree, which is what is so truly motivating for me, is that I think why I say this is easy is because I think all of us have lost touch of the divine. And I know that sounds hocus pocusy. And I'm the first one that would be looking for some Joe Rogan UFO talk, you know, because that's got more validity to it than divinity of the human spirit. Okay, I'm with you. But let me just also say, you know, that stuff with Obi-Wan Kenobi made sense to all of us. Don't tell me it didn't. Even as a kid who was told God didn't exist, as a kid who believed that we are here for this one experience, this is the roller coaster ride. Choose to figure out how to assemble the hills, but the roller coaster ride is all you got. And you can say what you want about the lack of faith and the mayhem that it comes with when you don't believe in the divine afterlife and heaven and hell and all that crap. Okay, fine. There might be some of you that fall for that shit. But frankly, you're the people I think are duped by religion. For the rest of us, we know what matters. My moral fiber doesn't not exist. It's constantly ringing a bell in my head, asking me, what the fuck am I up to? It's there. And that, to me, is what you can't argue against. You didn't come here without some sense of right and wrong. Justice. Fairness. Man, go look at the videos of toddlers. They know what's fair. You know what's fair before you know what's almost anything else. That's not fair, says the kid who is right. So, even if you just start there, with the idea that you come in here with the full-on slap me on the ass disillusionment of real life and the reality of a 3D universe, and here you are, some divine force of energy that is manifesting in a world filled with choice. What are you going to do? Every moment is an opportunity to say to yourself, what am I going to do? How many times do you surprise yourself? All the freaking time, right? Why'd I do that? Happens all the time. Happens to me. It's happened to me during this conversation. Why'd I say that? But I don't know. In some ways, those moments that come unscripted, completely out of some sort of confluence of both everything I've ever experienced up until this exact moment and the moment I'm living, for whatever reason, there is this constant roller coaster of energy that brings me up and down. This movie where I'm headlining every day I wake up. And everyone else is having the same experience. It's a weird one. Because the only person starring in this movie that's going to be here for every single second of it is me. And yet, all of you are playing a role in this movie with me. It matters. The script wasn't written. I didn't come here to fulfill a role. But how I play my role matters. Absolutely. And for somebody who had every conceivable advantage the universe was currently offering to succeed in the paradigm we have all currently constructed, I failed miserably. Miserably. If you're not listening to me on 1.25 or better, you're crazy. But having failed miserably, I literally gave up hope. I was done. I was a broken element. I was the cog in the engine that needed to be purged for the engine to run smoothly, or if nothing better than exhaust from what is a universe fuming with energetic impulse. Well, all right, I am the waste, the discharge, the inefficiency of the system. I am that which is ignoble because there has to be nobility. Because otherwise we're all a bunch of fuckfaces like me. Well, though that sent me down a road of darkness and snarling trees of oppression, like Sleepy Hollow. You know that cartoon? Even the Johnny Depp movie. If you're looking down like a trail and it's all bad choices as to whether you should be killed by those glowing eyes on the left or the red glowing eyes on the right, kind of how I treated life. Like, if I just whistled my way down the middle of that road and pretended all these dangers I was enabling weren't going to get back on me, well, I could just whistle on past life to the end and no one would know the difference. That was wrong. That was totally wrong. And I now see why. And again, I was trained to think that these forces that were swirling on this path of destiny that I was supposed to be navigating to some sort of outcome of established value for life's journey was horseshit. It was all wrong for me. And maybe I'm alone. Honestly, I have always felt alone. I have always been the one who couldn't admit who I really am. I didn't have the stones to come out of the closet as a dude who does the things that I do. Not to in any way denigrate the coming out of the closet cliche that we have lassoed around the experience of homosexual individuals in America. Your journey is one that is tough and one I admire. Congratulations to you all on the strides you're making, and I just wish you the love and peace that you deserve. But having had a different version of that journey, God, I sometimes had wished I was gay so that I could explain some of the disconnect that society seemed to offer. No, it turns out that even if I had become that brain surgeon who lived on the hill, I was never going to be satisfied. It didn't matter. I could have been a senator, and you know what I'd have been? I would have been the sleaziest senator. Well, I mean, I'd have been Mitch McConnell's bitch, let's be honest, but I'd have willingly accepted the role. So, I have no misunderstandings, misgivings, or mistaken concepts about who I really am. At my most deviant, I'm the worst person you want to be around. But I don't have to be deviant. I never had to be deviant. In fact, the deviance that I was manifesting for most of my life was because I had filled myself with the kind of hate that you can get in this society rather easily. So this journey for me, for the most part, is to explain how stupidly I let the world trip me up. And how much there is to be had by simply redefining the game on your own terms. And it's pretty simple. Y'all can figure it out yourselves. But as an example, I'm going to walk through the journey that I'm both on, as well as the journey that I've been on, the missteps, the mishaps, all of it, and show you why it is that just this morning I had an epiphany of connectivity with the universe that made me reach up to the ceiling and burst into tears of joy. I do not exaggerate. I wish I did, but I don't. And I don't deserve to be this happy. I didn't earn this. Trust me. I did not earn this. If anything, I banged my head against the wall for so long that finally somebody came over and decided to give me a pillow so that I could bang my head against that instead. I'm still the kid in the corner who does not understand what's going on. I don't. But I'm no longer out of touch with what it means to be happy as a human being. And I had lost track of that, all of it. And for most of it, had done it to myself. So, to, if nothing else, document personally that this moment of lucidity I'm experiencing that seems greater than myself, while I'm not going to deny, could be wrapped up in complete self-deluded nonsense that I'm Tyler Durdening the universe with. It's possible, but I don't think so. I'm quite confident I can share why I don't believe that's true with you. And if I can share that with you, and any of it resonates in a way that helps you simplify the congestion you have toward yourself, then maybe I'm not as much what's being discharged from the engine as I am what's helping keep it fluid. Because if we're not all working to make life as easy as possible on the people around us, well, why not? Isn't the point of being here to help out whenever possible? I get more from giving to others than I get from anything else I do. And for the longest time, I just gave and gave and gave because I didn't have anything stable on which to stand and say, this is who I am. I literally gave myself away. And I did it voluntarily. And I did it with such willful disregard for the human condition that I hurt a lot of people in so doing. And none of them did I intentionally lash out toward with any sense of just desserts, because nobody ever did anything but care about me, give me chances, forgive me, and enable me to go on forward and do something great. But I never handled that very well. And in very small, tiny, but significant ways, I found myself unable to reconcile certain truths of the universe that disorganized my thoughts early enough that they became thoughts I thought were me. But they weren't. And I'll get into that. But the point is, what I've done is I've come to understand, as it were, the meaning of life. And for 52 years, I've chased that question. Wrongly chased it, mostly. But for whatever reason, the universe decided to let me in on the secret. And there's no secret. That's a stupid way to have said it. For whatever reason, the universe gave me a second chance to experience life the right way. And I'm not going to miss out on my opportunity. So as I climb out of this sludge-filled bucket that I've been living in, I want to show you just how easy it is to take what may feel like a world full of nonsense and no direction, and turn it into something purposeful, meaningful, organized, and driven by yourself from the inside, where every moment feels like you're embracing something of value to yourself. And as a selfish son of a bitch most of my life, the problem in almost every situation was me.